Would you like to have a muffin that you can eat at any time, especially for breakfast, and not feel guilty about eating it? This recipe is so awesome. I make them all the time. They are healthy, they are nutritious, and there's no sugar in them. I use maple syrup, and I use whole grain flours, good walnuts. It is so good. So here's how we're going to make multigrain oat walnut muffins. One of the secrets to successful muffins to help them to rise better is to combine all of your dry ingredients in a separate bowl than what you use for your wet ingredients. We're going to start off with the wet ingredients, and I have just mashed up 3 very ripe bananas, and I beat 2 fresh eggs. To this mixture, I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of buttermilk or plain milk if that's what you have, 1/3 of a cup of oil, a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla, 1/2 cup maple syrup. And when I get all that mixed up, I'll show you what it looks like. This is what our wet ingredients look like, and now it's time to put together the dry ingredients. I start off with multigrain flour that I've milled myself, but I realize that most people don't do that. So just get your favorite whole grain flour from the grocery store. And to that 1.5 cups of flour, you're going to add 1 cup of rolled oats. That's your regular old-fashioned Quaker oats that you can get from the grocery. You'll add 2 teaspoons of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, a 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and today we're going to add the shelled walnuts chopped up, but you can also use pecans or your favorite nuts. I'll show you what it looks like when it's all mixed up. This is what the dry ingredients look like before I mix them up. Now, I want you to realize that whenever you add nuts to your muffins, if you want to add nuts to your muffins, you always do that at the very end after you've mixed the liquid in with the powder, and let that sit for a while and then add the nuts. I'll show you what it looks like. When mixing the dry with the wet, you always mix the dry ingredients into the wet ingredients and then stir and let that sit for just a little while before you add your nuts. The reason that we let this mixture sit for a while is so that the oatmeal will absorb some of the liquid that's in there, and then after about maybe 5 minutes, it's time to put the shelled chopped walnuts in and fill up the cups, and we'll be ready to bake. A good tip to getting your muffins to rise higher is to use a higher temperature. I realize most muffin recipes say to bake at 350 to 375, but if you bake at 400 and check your muffins around the 17 or 18 minute mark, you'll find that they get much taller and they bake perfectly. I have found that if you use 1/3 of a cup in each one of the muffin papers, that you'll have 12 perfectly sized muffins. These beauties are going into the oven for 17 to 18 minutes, set at 400 degrees. Of course, I'm going to check for doneness before I take them out. I wish you could smell my kitchen. I've always said that if I were going to sell something, that I would sell these muffins and make $1 million. Anyway, when you take them out of the oven, be sure and put them on a wire rack because you want to keep them lifted up so that the bottoms can cool evenly. I hope you make this recipe because I promise you if you do, you'll keep this recipe handy. I will post the recipe in the comments below. Have a great day, everyone.